and each weapon within that category will have its own attacks. I didn't say that right. Each category will have its own set of attacks. Um, so the way that it will work is there'll be different play styles. So like the cleave might be shorter range on the weapon for a melee, but it'll be a wider arc. I have to mute myself. I can tell this ice is quite loud.
No, I can't hear it at all, actually.
Really? Okay, good. Yeah, she's like filling up ice buckets with kava and
We
things.
can't hear it. It sounds great.
Okay, cool. I was getting a bit anxious there. Yeah, so the weapons will have the three different melees, and then for the ranged, it'll be like the ranged splash is like what we call like any kind of AoE type effect. AoE's area of effect. So like fireballs and grenades will have a splash, and paintbrushes too. So like it's like something that hits and then will hit like a wide area when it explodes. And then we'll have like the ranged physical, which is more like a pew 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 kind of pistol, and then the ranged magical. So each will have different attributes and different play styles. So there should be a lot of variety in how you actually play. Um, and one thing we're looking at too is the non weapons. We've classed into 5 different categories: handheld, sign, consumable, shield, and energy. And we are still in design discussion about the shields. If the shields, Dan, you made a few mentions about blocking. Shields are something that could potentially be an active ability where you would use to physically block projectiles or at least block partial damage.
I'm definitely keen for an active block. Got a couple of ideas on how it might work. Perhaps it will. So every one of our weapons and hand items will have like a special ability. So potentially the shields will be triggered by your special button for a certain amount of time. So you can hold, maybe you can hold the common ones up for a small amount of time, and maybe if you've got a godlike shield or better, well, sorry, not better, or a godlike shield, you can hold it up for a lot of time. But yeah, it's definitely a cool mechanic to think about. And it's, I guess it's one of the challenge of having so many different wearables is
Yeah.
trying to group them together and kind of put them into categories that make it still reasonable to be able to develop them in a certain amount of time, but still give them like each, make sure they still have all of their own individual flair as well.
Could you guys give us, you published the alpha phase document today, right? That's kind of like where this is coming from, but I think there's like a bigger picture with the alpha phase doc, kind of not a roadmap, but in many ways it is. So definitely let us know. Everybody should read that, right? And yeah, just kind of give us the TLDR.
Yeah, absolutely. The document I just shared, that's the full 40-page document of everything we have planned out in detail. And then this is our roadmap here. Dan just shared the thread. If you want to chat and discuss the thread, we'd love your feedback on different things. And then this roadmap here is our planned deliverables and when things are going to be rolled out. So I'll just briefly run through it, the roadmap here, and just like jump into on this. At the beginning, we're just going to iron out the design, and then in January, we're going to be really just ironing out the design and how we want things to look. And then one of the biggest deliverables is we're going to be porting to Unity. So that requires a lot of. Unfortunately, it's not just a simple port from Phaser to Unity. So a lot of things will have to be rebuilt. And we're going to slowly, like brick by brick, build different things into Unity and implement the new features as we go. So like in the beginning, we want to focus on all of the wearables and combat type things, so we can test that extensively over the entire year. And one of the things that is going to be really cool is we're building an infinite enemy dungeon. And so this is like just a really simple dungeon that will infinitely spawn enemies. And so that will let us test all of these new concepts as they're rolling out. So the first month of February, we're going to focus on the weapons and get all the weapons locked down with the specials and the attacks. And then rolling into March, we're going to be doing the pets. Pets are going to have a big role, and they'll be really fun to play with. They're going to be like a passive player that helps you in various ways. We got some cool ideas on how pets function. Like your Raffle might go fight enemies for you, but your Geo, he might go break geodes for you. So different little like passive functionality on the pets, which I can share a screenshot on this. Just some of the ideas we're playing with. So the idea is pets would have like sort of like an active ability and then a passive boost as well. So that's what we got going on with pets. And then rolling into April, we'll be implementing the Alchemica boost. So if you played roguelikes, one of the major features of roguelikes is they have like single game boosts, right? So each game of a roguelike is different, and it's different based on what you pick up in the run. So like in Hades, they have what are called boons, where you get boost from different gods. The Binding of Isaac, you pick up, I think, called artifacts, and it gives you like different attack boosts. And so for Aavegotchi, we have, of course, Alchemica boosts, and those are going to be tailored towards like elementals. So just for example, the concept is each Alchemica can influence a specific attack. So you can have like a boost for melee attack, and you can have a different boost for melee special. So you might have a FOMO melee attack, but an alpha melee special. So like your alpha melee special might convert your hammer smash into like a frozen hammer smash, where it freezes all the enemies in place, and it has like that elemental effect. And the cool thing about this, and what makes roguelike so fun, is it's always random. So you never know what kind of run you're going to get, and each game is different. So that's something we're super excited about that we're going to be putting into play on April. And with that, Slick, when do we have the community dungeon? It's in April. So it'll be a really major milestone when we hit the end of the first quarter. At the end of April, we'll have a community playtest with all the like the beta phase or alpha phase of the combat, the pets, and the Alchemica boost should be all for testing for the community. We'll do like a competition type thing like we did as we built the demo. Yep. So
That's super cool.
it's going to be super fun. We're like as you can see, if you go through this, like we're expanding quite largely. We have big plans to make this like a full game that takes in all of our assets too. So yeah, just rolling through the year, and then in May we're going to roll out new enemies. One of the things with the current demo is the enemy AI is quite rudimentary. So like the leaf shades, they get stuck on walls and things. All of that's going to be removed, and the enemies are going to be much smarter. The leaf shades are going to dash across lakes, and they're going to smash geodes. So the leaf shades will be much more vicious, and the FOMO spirits will be more clever. Just all in all, enemies will be it'll be a much better playthrough with the enemies. And then when we roll into June, we're going to be looking more at like the world building. So that's when we shift gears, and we'll be building out the Gen 8 village, which you may have seen our apes that have been floating around the socials and in some of the docs. We will be introducing them fully with their whole storyline and their village. Will be rolling out in June. And that's when we also build multiplayer. And then we go into the dungeon building in July, where we actually build out the mines. Right now, it's just the underground forest. The alpha phase will have the underground forest and the geode mines. And then we go into bosses in August. And one feature we're really pumped about is the frequency disruptor. So the idea of the frequency disruptor is it will bring new challenges for elite players and godlike gotchis, and it will bring handicaps for those who are more casual players. And the way the frequency disruptor works is you can speak with Bowtied Nerd will be our NPC running the disruptor. you can speak with him, and you can amplify the intensity of the dungeon, adding things like increased enemy HP, increased enemy damage, and on the handicap side, you can do things like turn off the essence timer, so you can have a casual gameplay if you want. Um, Things like that. It should make it a lot more fun and accessible for anyone, right? So the elite gamers can have their challenge, and the casual gamer can also get in and just enjoy the game and all of that too. And then, yeah, just rolling through September, we're going to add in the wearables buffs. So right now, BRS doesn't have any implementation. Rather than doing BRS implementation, what we're going to instead do is add different buffs, or additional buffs rather, to the wearables. So like a godlike blue plaid shirt, for example, might add another 100 HP on top, where a common body item might only add 5. So we'll be implementing that. And yeah, Slick has this great idea for laser eye specials for our gotchis and an eye trait. Slick, you want to talk about the laser eyes?
Okay, so this, I feel like this is like one of the most hotly discussed and wanted utilities for the eyes. So what we don't have in the moment is like an all-out nuking special in the game for gotchis. So the idea behind this would be that every gotchi has the ability to do an eye laser, and it's kind of the cinematic thing where the screen goes a little bit dark and one gotchi light powers up and then just completely obliterates half the screen. We're thinking at the moment eye shape. The rarity of your eye shape will dictate how quickly it takes your eye laser special to charge up, and the eye color will dictate how powerful your eye lasers will be. So if you're rocking around with a double myth, you will probably be unloading eye lasers, all powerful eye lasers, pretty consistently through the dungeons. And the idea is it's got a hidden charge, so you can't really see when it's going to happen, but when it does charge up, there'll be like a little notification icon to say unleash your eye laser. And so it's probably like, and it's also probably something that you might want to save up for bosses, or if you're like really in a bind, you'll want to unleash it. So that's what we're pretty keen to do there. I'm mainly keen to see what the animations for this will look like. I don't know if you had any thoughts on the animations yet, Oliver?
I have some, yeah. I think it'll be
Nice.
really cool to have like this giant laser cannon straight from the gotchi, like super wide, and put some crazy anime style flashes in there. Yeah, be really fun. Maybe throw some collateral in the beams type things.
And
Yeah, this should be
just
really
a
fun.
screen full of 99999 damage text pop-ups.
Yep, it's gonna be fun. And then October, October's when we get into the more the back end stuff, the smart contract work, and they're about like improving the HUD, which is the hover over display of the game. So one of the things that we're most I know y'all can hear that. One of the things we're most excited about is how we can, start to bring in our assets. And we have the Sea Ghost, which is our corrupted ghost. It's an off-chain asset, but there will be like an in-app ability to purchase the Sea Ghost for the ghost. So we'll be building that mechanism out, as well as our essence infusion. So right now, your timer is, say it's 1,000 essence, is your timer, 1,000 seconds, each one being 1 second. You'll be able to burn 100 real essence, the asset, to increase your permanent clock, maybe 250 essence. So it'd be like a 25% boost to your playtime, burning some essence in the process. And then we have some ideas on how to use Alchemica and Alloy and just different assets to have some in-app purchase type boosts that are non-essential, right? We don't want the game to be heavy pay to win. We already have the gotchis requiring on some level pay to win, but we do want to be able to fold in the assets as well. So Alchemica and Alloy are good targets for that. So we'll be building all that out, and then the mini map. We'll add a mini map so you can see where your teammates are, and if you maybe unlock, like if you open a hole, it'll pop up on the map so you can see where it's at. Just improve the HUD icons. One thing that we're really keen on is custom control mapping. So everyone has their own preferred play style, keyboard, mouse. There's 100 different controllers out there. So we're going to set up a menu where you can bind your own keys however you like. And then rolling into November, we'll be just tidying up everything and a more polished website. The website right now functions, but we want to have a nice, pretty website that we have a nice website. And then, we'll roll out the Spectral Forge, which is a way to mint spectral items in games, just a little feature we have. And then December, we have primed for the actual launch promotion and to run a competition like we are now. And that will bring us the full calendar year complete. And so if you see, like, this is the alpha phase for us is like the biggest lift. It's pretty much we're bringing everything forward. Almost all the mechanics are going to be built. So this is our heaviest lift. And then rolling into the beta is going to focus just on building out the remaining biomes, enemies, and bosses. But all the combat and everything will be complete with the alpha. We'll just put on the polishing, finishing touches. And then the game launch itself, from beta to launch, will just be focusing on the final polish. So that's where we're at. The beta and game launch we have as a cumulative 9 months in the build.
So right now, I mean, the game is quite playable. We've done the XP event and this 5K ghost pool. Like, throughout this 9 months, is the game going to be in a playable state, or is it going to be kind of like it's active right now and then you guys will have to take it down while the Unity build goes live?
We'll be this current build. We will definitely be leaving this up. I'll dial back the servers, go to some more affordable servers for the next 9-12 months, but this version will be live for the next year.
Is
no dramas with that.
What's the the reason for having to go to Unity for this specific game? Like, when we did the transition, we had this whole stack that for the Gotchiverse that was really becoming painful to build on. Is that the same problem that you guys are having as well? I'm just curious, like, what the need to go to Unity is for this game.
So with Phaser, this build is actually really good. I've had a really good experience with Phaser. The biggest thing that we've got from Phaser and that we're finding that we need to get away from is that it's still a WebGL browser build. So you're still working with tech that doesn't really access computer GPUs like anything that you'd build with DirectX and whatnot. It's going to Unity is going to allow us to make the game so much prettier. We'll be able to do lighting and just have so much more happening on screen at the same time. Plus, it doesn't silo us away from potentially getting the game in the future onto consoles, onto phones, and anything else. Like with Phaser, we really are. You pretty much are committing to only being able to play in a browser.
I know web GPUs also coming out, but I think it's still a little bit far off. But that might also be an option.
Yeah, there's definitely been some advancements there, but I think it's still not the cutting edge of graphics performance that you'd get out of using Unity. The other big reason for us wanting to go to Unity is, as you can see, our roadmap's there's a lot of features in our roadmap, and with Unity, that's going to give us the best chance of finding other devs that we can outsource a lot of work to, which is going to be
a problem critical. We had too. It's kind of hard to find experienced game devs in JavaScript. It's really hard.
Yeah. it's very niche. In terms of like Web3 integrations, like JavaScript phaser builds are like fantastic because everything's in the browser. But yeah, building a fully fledged game, I think Unity's going to be the right call for us.
It is a little bit worrying, I think. Like the game is I think it's quite polished already. I'm a little bit worried that we're gonna have another situation where we've had to do this with the Gotchiverse. We're kind of turning the corner almost on that to having like a playable version of the Gotchiverse in 3D. But I mean, the game is going so well. It seems. I mean, you guys know your roadmap, but it like I would love to be able to promote this game more heavily in a like more final state on all the like there's like the roguelites Reddit and stuff. I think there's a lot you could do with marketing for just the existing game with some continued development on it. But it just sounds a little bit like we have this great product right now, and we're going to go through the process of converting it into Unity, which might take it sounds like 6 to 9 months, and we'll have a better product after that. It's just as all the Gotchi games are launching next year, we would really love to be able to include dropped and more heavily like in that lineup.
Sure. Well, we're leaving the demo live as is, and it may not be a far cry to like sneak in more maps. That's not a huge lift, but like the actual expansion of more features will be focused on the alpha phase.
Do you guys have a plan as you're building this game in Unity to help build like a growing player base for it with marketing?
That is one thing I would like to lean on more. Leverage other people. It's not my strongest suit. We set aside a budget in the proposal, but yeah, I would love to have some assistance there. Hanny's been great from your end, and if anyone else is keen or experienced, I would love to talk to them and see how that might work for us.
Yeah, I think I was just like going on the Reddit for roguelites. It's actually a fairly active community over there. Like, I wonder maybe there's something that you guys could do, because you obviously know a lot about roguelites. I think you fit in pretty well, like interacting with the community over there and trying to. I don't know if we need to hide the NFT aspect of it or not over there, if they'll flame you. But if they're open to it, I think like it'd be cool to give some status updates to communities outside of our community, and like start getting people outside of Gotchi Gang to know about these games. We're going to be doing that pretty soon with Gotchi Guardians, because there's like this huge tower defense fan base already out there that we want to start like interacting with more and starting to bring them over into our world a little bit.
Yeah, 100%, definitely keen. With the demo, it was mostly focused on just the proof of concept. So we wanted to establish the fact that the game loop is fun and people enjoy playing it, which we've seen. We've had lots of people playing even outside of events. So we have shown that it's really fun. We've gotten great feedback, and as we scale, absolutely would want to bring in more eyes to the project. And I think this cycle, just on a broadly speaking term, this cycle is when crypto gaming is going to hit mainstream, and to be part of that wave would be tremendous.
I totally agree. That's why I'm like a little bit worried that if we have to go 9 months from now, I think the boom is starting to happen already, and it will continue for sure through 2024, and we definitely are positioning Aavegotchi to be a big part of that. So definitely want to have it would be great to have like the best games that we can going into that wave, like second quarter of next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we'll leave the phaser version live. Maybe we can even run some competitions on it while we're running the alpha build. But yeah, we talked quite a bit, and there's not really too much we can cut down to make this a lighter build to bring out the full features of the game that we want to deliver. We were originally talking to make it like 6 months, but it just isn't going to work with everything that we want to add in. So we'll have
Well,
to
I
keep
mean, yeah, like
we'll have to keep
people
you on
love
bated
building in
breath with the
public.
demo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you guys have built a fantastic game. I really want you to succeed. So happy to help however we can.
Thank you. Thank you. It's
Brings it back
been a blast
to-
making it.
It brings it back to the tournament here. So I think there is probably, I don't know, you guys know the numbers in terms of how much of Gotcha Gang has come in and actually played the game and gone hands on. But I think the numbers will be at the highest for this next 10 days because I mean there's a significant prize pool. So for people who haven't played the game before, what's your kind of advice? I mean, you go to the website and it's pretty easy onboarding. Like connect that wallet and hop in. But do you see? Have you had any feedback on any like, either friction or points that might intimidate players? Or what's your advice to people that haven't played before?
Yeah, we did get some feedback. Some people couldn't find the holes, so we put an arrow next to the entrance. But yeah, I just recommend just jumping in. You don't even need a wallet. You can just jump in. You can, if you scroll down the main page, you see the controls. You can just jump in the game. And if you have any questions, jump over to the Discord and ask questions. We're both available. We're on different parts of the world, so one of us is usually online to help field any questions or anything like that.
Yeah, and definitely drop the Discord invite again. Just there's always somebody in the chat that is hasn't been put in front of them, and you can play without connecting the wallet. But I think if I read it correctly, to qualify for these prizes, you do need to connect the wallet. Is that right?
100%. You have to connect, and you have to play with either an owned or rented Gotchi. If you play with a free-to-play Gotchi, it's just to experience the game, but you don't get a high score or anything.
Perfect. Okay, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, with the free play gotchis, you're still like using one of the gotchis from the actual Aavegotchi SVG subgraph. We're still pulling those. It's just on the back end. I've just blocked those particular ones from registering scores.
And these Gotchis that are the free to play are the Gotchis that are the prizes. So if you want to get a feel for what you might win, they are the free play Gotchis. Except Gotchi Reno, that one's not.
That's so cool. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Oh, and not XCOM Give It To You or Hungry Eyes either.
Oh yeah, Big Smash, Crit Monster, and Notorious BTC are the prize Gotchis, so they're there for to play.
Yeah.
Which might dress them up a little bit.
They're pretty good gotchis too. Hey, Big Smash would probably pretty good left hand side stats. Hey, Crit Monster's my pick.
They're both beastly, and then Notorious BTC, a good yeah, he's a good just like glass cannon on the range.
So
Nice.
JP
Well, you guys got the thread here, the dropped outline and alpha phase. Let's take the conversation over there for anyone. Make sure you go read the proposal, give any feedback you have on it. Let's get that active over there. And when do you guys have a timeline on when you plan to submit the SIG prop?
Yeah, actually, the timeline's a bit tight with the holidays and everything. So I was actually planning to launch the SIG prop today. So that would be going up this evening, and then we can just have discourse over the week going into the holidays.
Cool.
Very cool. Well, best of luck to everybody in Gotcha Game that's gonna drop in to Dropped, and looking, Oliver, are you guys actually gonna compete or just kick? You probably will for fun, right? But I'm sure. How do you compare against some of the players? Are you finding like you guys are just average players but great builders, or I know I've seen that in Salesforce.
It's horrendous. I'm the dev, and I don't stand a chance against any of like anybody that's on our leaderboard. So I like
Yeah,
know
man.
everything about the game, and where all the like good, Oliver's hidden all the holes underneath geodes and everything, but I still can't compete.
Yeah, so some of our players, man, they're just like so good. Like they just keep getting these scores that just blow my mind.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure it'll be very competitive. I'll probably, I just want to, just have a good time and play, but I'm not about to convince myself that I'm going to be top 10 or anything. We'll see how it goes. I got to get a crew together. So, is there a
Nice.
lot of matchmaking happening in your guys' Discord as well, or is it more like, you just grab two guys, two people, and hop in the three? So.
Say that again.
Well, just the matchmaking. Could you go over it one more time? Like, if I want to hop in with, say, Coder Dan and Zbot, I could do that. But if I also want to just play with anybody here in the chat, is there like matchmaking or any like special designated channel in the dropped Discord?
Yep. So I actually just made a channel this morning called Find a Team if you're looking to partner up. And what I'll probably do is I'll put a few mini events where I'll be online to play with people. Last time we did that, we had some people show up, and that was nice. But yeah, just different times. If you pop in, people are putting up game codes, and you can jump in and play.
Super cool. Perfect. Well, all right, guys. Yeah, it's gonna be a great 10 days. We'll all be following along and competing. And we got a few minutes left here before the DAO hour, and I know Hefe, you could probably preview the DAO hour. There's probably some stuff we're going to follow up. I know Dan and I on the kind of liquidity market making topic that came up last week. So anybody that usually drops out before we go to the DAO call, if that interests you, I'll be going through some notes on that in a few minutes from now. And then what else? We got a few minutes here to chill.
Yeah, maybe Lickies. Talk quickly about that.
Oh my god, love lickies. My girlfriend actually beat the first boss last night, and I played a little
Yeah.
bit too, man. It was fun. Like I was having a good time.
The first world is like beginner mode. It definitely gets, it never gets to like an insanely hard level that I've played. I mean, the fifth world is pretty tough, but it ramps up nicely in difficulty. It's really enjoyable. Yeah, it's basically a tutorial.
I love that X-ray, that one X-ray level where you got to use the X-ray to find the hidden essence.
Yeah,
that
I
was
like that level too. I like there's a couple levels that just like are different from the standard puzzles. And someone in the chat today was mentioning how like it's rare where you see a puzzle game that has boss battles. So.
Oh yeah, that was me. I was
Oh,
like super stoked to see that.
heck yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, that's
that's new. But
That's crazy.
I
That
don't
yeah,
play a lot of puzzle games. Yeah.
no one's ever done that. That was one of the
There's
like
no-
the unique selling propositions that when I first heard of the game, Jesse, you were like, and it's got boss battles. And it's like, okay, that's cool, but apparently puzzle games don't have boss battles in them.
not very often. They may exist, but not really one that comes to mind. So that served as a great springboard for some lore. So hopefully everybody noticed as you go through the game, even in World 1, you get some narrative there, and obviously that continues and gets more fleshed out as you go through the other worlds. So no futuristic, welcome back to the stage.
Hey guys, can you hear me? I'm doing the audio from my glasses. I can't do video because Meta prevents me from going to anything but Instagram. But I'm back in. We're setting up the booth for today. Soju's here with me, the whole team. So it's pretty dope. Getting ready.
Are you guys showing Lickies to people? I know you got the iPads going. Is today booth day? Are people playing the game in real life? Since we're talking about Lickies a little bit.
Yeah, so I can tell you that at the mural yesterday, while they were doing their onboarding stuff, they were playing the game. They had the iPads out. While we were here at the at the dive, we were more focused on the prize wheel yesterday, giving away some prizes. I was able to get on the DJ and kind of be that guy and be like, guys, come by our wheel. We got free stuff. And a lot of people came, so it's cool. I think we're going to play more Lickies today. I know that from what I heard, Nadil said that he played all night the night before. And then last night, these guys were doing, they were up late playing drops, like very late. I went to sleep at like 11, and they were all like playing in the room together, communicating in the same room, which I, honestly have never seen before for our game. So it was really cool.
That's dope.
Yeah,
Or no
sign of the
future, did you-
times.
You say they were playing dropped?
Yeah, there was Light Piglet and T-Bird were playing a game of drop last night.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah, they love it. They were just like communicating across the table. We're sitting there, everybody's on their computers, and they're like, "Okay, you get that thing. Is your health low?" And it's like, "Oh crap, man! I could see how if this was streamed by teams, like we've done on Orium Game Night with me or Nani and Merc from the High Seas Pirates, it becomes very entertaining because the game, you're working as a team to try to get as low as you can go."
Oh, that's so cool. I've my little sister who did the artwork for the little fire spirit that flies around in the game. She's staying with me at the moment. We had a couple of co-op matches today, and it was exactly the same thing. We're just like, go that way, don't do that. Oh shit, you've been attacked again, blah blah blah. And it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm actually from my phone. I'm streaming video, so you can see we're at the booth. We got Al in the background, setting up our little setup. We're gonna have the prize wheel. This will be the prize wheel once it's fully set up. And then we got the Aavegotchi. He suffered some kind of loss because his martini is kind of missing. His arm is missing half of his martini. He was partying hard last night at the D-Gods party and having lost local. Yes, just doing the thing. And yeah, we got a couple Gotchi game members in the background just kind of having breakfast. I don't know if you can see them over there. Just Oju, T-Bird, and then TJ. And then Cryptoon Goons, we got Lord Trivia over there. They're setting up their Cryptoon Goons thing. 8 Reunion will be right here. They actually have a game coming out, which is pretty cool. We got the Aavegotchi sticker. And then the pool. It's supposed to be some fancy party. A mural that's going to be painted, I believe. And I got my Gotchi shorts, so I might go swimming, time permitting. Then we get all the prizes out and get some people playing Lickies Escape.
Talk about that beautiful prize wheel real quick. Oh, there's nice, the whole crew. How? Oh God, that looks good too. Keep getting distracted by all this cool stuff you got. There it is.
Ooh,
God, it's gorgeous.
look at that.
What kind of prizes are you guys dishing out with that bad boy? I see it
We
has
only had
small-
one big winner. We had one big winner who won the big prize yesterday, and they won the brand new, only one, I think, in Miami, the Gotchi sweater for this holiday season. We also gave away last year's sweater. We've been giving away some of these towels. We're giving away, we got some flip-flops here. We got some Gotchi greeter shirts. We have a whole box, friends. I wish you guys could be here for this. We got these koozies here, and then the Gotchi gang actual sunglasses. They're somewhere down there, but Zbot has them. They say Gotchi gang on them. There's also 5 courtyard basic Pokemon tokenized cards up for grabs. No one has won one of those today. So yesterday either. So the goal today is to get rid of all 5, and then we're going to be giving away some dope stuff. So it's going to be a vibe. We're just getting ready. It's just starting. The party's just starting.
Hey, do you have a sense of traffic? How many bodies are y'all seeing coming through the space there in the future? How many interactions are y'all having maybe on a daily?
Yesterday, from what Light Piglet told me, we hit 50% of what's allowed for our email gathering. Oh shit, the Gotcha fell. Sorry. Our email gathering capacity. We've already hit 50%. Far out was here, and the party was pretty. There had to be at least 100 people over around here doing their thing. They were upstairs for the panel. Up there where we were earlier, they're doing another, they do panels. They were doing them yesterday. I don't know if they're doing them today. It's going to be the pool party, so I think it's going to be even crazy. But Miami right now is nuts. We walked from here to the D party. If we had gotten in an Uber, it would have taken like an hour. It's a 25-minute walk. And that party was cool. I got to meet Smokey, Rainy Reeser, the Polygon team, and talk to basketball with some of the people that we were playing on Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm going to be
we're
going to
kinda
that
losing
event.
it in and out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of make out what you're saying, but it's going in and out. Maybe.
It's fun. It's fun to fill in the gaps, Dan.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I
I'd
found
like
the-
to, just real quick, I'd like to remind everybody to make sure you're liking and retweeting the interactions that these guys are producing. It goes a long way.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so without further ado, I found the original spinning wheel that we prepped for this. Now, the one you just saw there live actually turned out to be a second edition. It's got a lot more pie slices. It's a little bit modified to match the infrastructure that they went with. However, this one may be useful to you if if you're crafty and you want to do this at home or whatever, or it's just pleasurable to look at, honestly. Check this bad boy out. And I encourage you guys to look for your next gaming meetup and show up and represent Aavegotchi or get a booth at the fair or whatever. And print this out at your local print shop and get it slapped on one of those. I think you can get a spinning wheel on eBay for like $60. You know, all shapes and sizes. But yeah, that one I just think is beautiful. Stellar did a great job working with us on this one, actually. And you can kind of tell his handiwork there. Pretty nice. Got the humble prize, the small prize with an O, the wrecked version, this pie slice. So I love it. Of course it's Sneaky Hobbs. Of course it is. Yep.
All right, friends. Well, shall we get into the DAO call? To kick it off, the dower.
Do it.
Do it up.
Let's do it. Yeah, we can check into the live stream periodically if that's still going. But yeah, I'll drop the agenda here for today, and so we'll get through the proposals here, and then we'll get right into the discussion because Oliver Spoon went and gave us a whole breakdown. I'm pretty stoked for what's coming there, and yeah, let me share my screen here. Here we go. Okay. So we have a few proposals. Ending off the year, I actually went back and looked to see where we're at. And we started this year around Agap 40-ish. It was like 46 or something like that, which is crazy. You know, from the early discussions this year, the bonding curve, and now we're here at Agap 101 with Aavegotchi. So let's just look at a couple that have closed. Freckle and Aavegotchi DAO. Let me just make sure y'all can see that. Yeah, let me just change this around here. Freckle Aavegotchi DAO proposal with investment component. This was brought forward by Freckle TV, by Lord Trivia, to build out a gaming experience for Aavegotchi alongside a $100,000 early funding round, pre-seed round into Freckle TV. So let's see here. This proposal did meet quorum with 9.1 million ghosts worth of votes. 68% of the DAO voted no for this version of the proposal. That being said, though, I think Lord Trivia got plenty of positive feedback, and this won't be the last time we hear from that. So, next proposal here, Agap 100 Mechagotchis by Thrax. Another really interesting gaming experience, and some new PvP battles, hopefully, that come with it. So, 89% of the DAO is in favor of this. We have 10 million ghost worth of votes that were cast. So looking really good there for Agap 100. And check out the thread, friends. I don't know, Thrax, if you got a Discord going for Mechagotchis yet, but yeah, get involved here. I know you were asking for community feedback along the way. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be helpful there as well. Agap 101 Aavegotchi V1 by Lagan, and right now it's looking like 10 million ghost worth of votes have been cast, so that's passed in quorum, and 91% of the DAO is in favor of this. So this is going to be the kind of reworked version of what was presented last time around, and yeah, also really stoked for this one as well. So got a couple new gaming experiences that have been funded by the DAO, and I'm looking forward to it. Well, with that being said, friends, I recently put up a post in the Discord for DTF 2.0. You know, we worked through a few iterations of it at this point, and you know, getting together with a few other well-known Gotchi gang members to put this proposal together, and I'd like to put that forward to the DAO. And we're still in early discussions of this DTF 2.0. There's been a lot of great feedback, and you know, I'd love to take all the feedback into account, and in the end have something that we can all be excited about as we're moving into Gotchi chain, you know, the community funding these games, and maybe even working with outside game studios and that sort of thing as well when the right opportunities come up. So I would like to invite FIFO and some of the other DTF 2.0 members, if you'd like to come up, and we can kind of do a high-level overview. We can do a high-level overview of this, because you know, I think it is like a 22-page document, so I'll plug the document here for you guys as well to go through on your own. But there's a few things that came up during the forum discussion that I posted on Wednesday, and I'd like to touch on those pain points possibly, and maybe clear some things up, as well as, you know, get some feedback in the chat here from all 68 of you. So with that being said, GM FIFO, welcome up.
GM everyone, you hear me?
Yeah, oh yeah. So
Okay,
FIFO, maybe you
fine.
want to give them a little intro. I know who you are, but you know, GFA member, but maybe you want to give a little intro of who you are, and then we'll get into the DTF 2.0 discussion.
Well, I'm Fifu. I've been in the community almost since the start. Yes, I was there at Antoine. I've been a developer. I made the Verse Analytics website and app, let's say last year's, and I followed what happened in the community those last 2 years. I did the Voltron hackathon with PG those last months that we won. And yeah, I've been following most of the discussions actively. And
FIFO, real
yeah,
quick, sorry.
I think that's it.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
it.
no.
I don't have much to introduce myself.
Yeah, we'll get through. Sorry, I just was looking at another DM here. We'll get through the DTF discussion here, and then we can just switch the schedule around a little bit. But yes, we also have a few other members on the team as well, right? We got Minting, National Bank, PG. We have crypto-Gotchi, who are also part of the team. And if you guys would like to come up, you're welcome up too. I can get you up here. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Wagme. I appreciate that. And for those of you who want to maybe get to know the team members better, there is actually bios that each of us have written out and plugged into the forum post as well. A little bit of a longer description of everybody's kind of background, and yeah, I think that would be probably helpful. I'm just reading some of the comments here. Okay, yeah, Mike Helm, you plugged FIFO's bio there. That's awesome. And yeah, thanks. Yeah, plug all the bios. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. So yeah, DTF 2.0 is attempting to address a few points in our like proposal process. Yeah, Dr. Wagme for sure. Yeah, exactly, and that was one of the points that I wanted to address is the gatekeeping. You know, that's definitely not the intention. I know there was some discussion around, well, it sounds like the large scale portion of the DTF could be gatekeeping. There could be roadblocks there or perceived roadblocks to projects getting funded. And there, you know, my intention, and I think I could speak for the other DTF members as well here, is the DTF does not want to have, and I don't think should have, any sort of veto power over projects. You know, the whole point of decentralization is, you know, to execute the will of the DAO, which is currently being done by the DAO directors. But in relation to DTF large scale funding, the way I think of it, you know, FIFO, I'd like you to chime in here, is to have some sort of an accountability structure in place, especially when we have large amounts of funding that's being requested in 6-figure, you know, amounts. You know, up until now, I don't think it's been really much of a problem because we operate on a trust basis. Like, when a project gets funded, you know, 150K or, you know, for example, 150K, oftentimes it's community members that we've known that have built up a reputation that we trust, and they're able to execute like the Oliver Spoon presentation we just had, you know, like some of the other up and coming projects. I know the Forge team has done quite a bit of work. So there have been a lot of signs of success with the way we've been doing things, and so I don't really want to knock that in any way. But I'm just kind of thinking a little bit ahead in terms of what the DTF could do as we're, you know, pertaining to like Gotchi Chain and maybe being out at these events and being approached by other builders, or even funding projects to level up and, you know, like you say, build out their games in Unity or outsource specific things to other developers. I feel like the DTF 2.0 could help facilitate some of those things, as well as, you know, working with projects to help them kind of establish milestones of when they would like to get paid for specific things and then release those funds, as opposed to, you know, paying the whole amount up front and, you know, hoping that they would deliver. Like that's worked to some degree, you know, because we have established trust and reputation, but that may not always be the case. And, you know, I've seen it in other DAOs.
Minus scale.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I'll let you chime in here as well.
Yeah. No, you did well. No, the fact is, when we start discussing how we want to figure out what the large scale fundings and what change we would like to make, how we would like to, as you say, not control, but get some reports, know what's going on. There was the thing that, in any way, there is one thing that can't change, is that the DAO will decide if a project gets funded. The DAO will vote, and if the project gets funded, it's because the DAO voted for it. But I think that once a project is funded, there are a lot of possible small changes in the project itself, small deviations, budget alignments, those kind of stuff, that for which basically we have absolutely no flexibility with the actual model, meaning I'm creating a core prop for a large project to be funded. I put on a schedule for payment inside it, and I say this month I need that much money and so on. And from the moment my prop passes, then the directors, they will execute the transaction as stated inside my proposal, and that will be it. If I get some deviations if my roadmap changes a bit, if I get delayed, and if those kind of things moves, basically the only way, if I want to realign how my project should be funded, is that I need to pass another core prop to realign my roadmap, basically, and realign the payments I was supposed to receive. And basically, I think it creates friction inside the DAO for nothing, because first, maybe my proposal just to realign my roadmap could not get the quorum, could be refused or sort kind of things. And project could be blocked or thing could be suboptimal. So the idea is that the DAO and the voters still remain 100% in charge, will still remain 100% in charge of which project is funded and which project is not funded. What we want to introduce is just a low level of accountability between the persons that are in charge of that project and the DAO, meaning they would have to describe milestones, and when they come to the DTF and say, yes, the milestone has been accomplished, and here is proof that the milestone has been accomplished, then we would unlock what was the part of the payment that was specified inside their original proposal. And if they experience some deviations, if they have some delays, if they know they are going to have to remove from their scope some minor features to be able to deliver the core features they were describing in their proposals, the goal is that we can help them to get to that point and go make the right decision, so they manage to get to that point, basically. For me, for my experience, a project, when you talk 6 figures and things like that, if you say I need 220K to make a project, most of the time you don't end up spending 220K exactly, and you don't finish the project exactly at the targeted date. There's always some changes, there is always some deviation. It can be lower, it can be bigger, but you can't, most of the time you don't end up exactly where you were supposed to. So I think it's not realistic to say there are never adjustments to be made on big projects. Of course, I think there are always adjustments that needs to be made along the way. And the part of our proposal that involves large-scale projects, the goal is to introduce this layer to remove some frictions and to allow those adjustments to be made in a way that is more transparent for the community.
There's another component to this as well. You mentioned being able to consult with projects on specific milestones and being able to pay out those milestones. There's also a contingency fund that I thought was a really good idea as a component of this, in the case where you have a project and it's actually maybe even the opposite, where you might have requested a budget and then realized that you might have been a bit short. Maybe you're almost finished the project, you're about to reach that last milestone, and for example, you're just about to finish, and now there's some extra dev work that needs to be done, but you've burned through all the funds that the DAO gave you. There would be a contingency fund that we lay out a plan for, where you would also be able to request funds from the DTF without having to go through the whole DAO and be like, hey, there's a certain level of maybe resistance to that, even going to the DAO and saying, hey, my project needs like 10 more K or 20 more K, whatever, to finish. Rather than doing that, you could just come to the DTF. We could have a discussion about your project, and then we could help you get across the finish line. So I think the ultimate goal of the DTF is just to ensure that the vast majority of projects are reaching the finish line successfully and are launching like a completed product. I don't think that's been a huge issue, but it's something, if we're going to be working with other entities or even being approached by other entities that want to build on Gotchi chain, and, as we increase our scope of what we can build on the protocol, I think there should be some accountability structure in place. But in terms of submitting proposals and getting funding from the DAO, I don't think the DTF really has any business in that. Anybody who's whitelisted can still submit their SIG prop, and if the DAO votes to fund it, only then would there be some sort of request from the DTF to say, hey, okay, you guys just got funded for this amount from the DAO. we would like to know what your milestones are. We would like you to work with you and help you, or you can set your own milestones, and then we can do a funding schedule for you based on that.
The one thing I have with that, Hefe, that keeps getting stuck in my head is that sounds like a proposal is getting passed and then we're discussing milestones for funding disbursement, and that's exactly contradictory to the procedure that I've been thinking that the DAO is moving towards, which is that we want to see the proposals actually get clearer and have those milestones and metrics built into them on the front end before they even get passed by the DAO.
Right, and I think there should be proposal
Exactly.
guidelines there as well for posting. I think that would be one of the roles. But FIFO, go ahead.
It is described. It is described in the documentation we wrote that basically to get our approval, which is, I repeat, optional, large-scale funding, you will have to describe its milestones inside his original proposal, and they will have to basically describe also what will be the delivery target of each milestone and how much each milestone will cost. So it's not like the project gets funded and then we discuss milestones. The way we envision it is that if they want to do it by the book, and basically, if you ask, in my point of view, if you ask 200,000 key or something like that, and you don't have that kind of vision over your own project, I think something's not right. But yeah, we need the milestone beforehand for this thing to work. We cannot go. I don't think it's reasonable to say, okay, now you get funded, please. Can you give us some milestones? No, I think you're right, Michaelium. It's the other way around. The milestone needs to be described from the start.
No Futuristics asking, would the creation of DTF 2.0 have legal effect on DAO directors? Well, I think that having the DAO directors disperse milestones would definitely be a legal issue. And so we came up with a structure where the DAO directors would still only be doing their one transaction that they've been beheld to by the DAO. So, once a proposal passes, you would still do your one disbursement transaction. And we've laid out here a template for how project escrow wallet could be managed between the DAO directors initiating and signing the disbursement transaction, to where the project and the DTF could both be the second and third signers to release the funds. It is a little bit more elaborate to begin with, but like we've already been looking at open source tooling that would make things like token streaming possible.
So just to be clear too, the directors our hands are not tied to only providing single bag disbursements. We have proposals that have already been passed that happen in phase disbursements, and the directors are well equipped to be able to execute on that. We'd also be able to execute on any kind of streaming funding setups that needed to be set up or required per proposals. What we don't have is any discretion to change what the proposals are. What that means is that if the proposals themselves improve in their templating and in their standards of what's required, then the directors can act within the scope of what those proposals are requesting, which sounds a lot like what this part of DTF 2.0 may be achieving, is helping guide these proposers into this more clear proposal format, which I think would be better to have that discussion at broad across the entire DAO operations, opposed to having just kind of like a tune-up committee for proposals. I'm very supportive of it. I absolutely feel like we should focus on improving what DTF 1.0 tried to accomplish. So I also want to make sure that we talk and focus on what y'all's vision is for the small cap grants and the small cap funding and activations that could potentially happen there, which I think is more the priority of DTF 2.0 than necessarily the prop review.
Well, just going back to your DAO director milestone funding, I did look at some of the proposals that were funded in terms of milestones, but from my understanding, the DAO directors would not be able to in any way assess even if a milestone was completed or not, right? It's just based on a time schedule, like 30 days after the core proposal, this amount. 60 days after core proposal, this amount.
So those are timelines of payment disbursement. If there were actual metrics that said, an alpha product has to be released and the DAO has to have effectively played it, it's the DAO that then is the yay or nay on the disbursement of that milestone, not the directors. The directors aren't in a position to evaluate whether or not that milestone's been achieved. It's the DAO that has to evaluate whether or not that milestone's been achieved, and then we as the directors would be simply executing the will of the DAO.
Well, if I totally agree with you, if a project basically pivot largely regarding its objectives and what is its end goal and what will be delivered at the end, it will not be okay. It will be a case where basically it will have to go to a new proposal, and the DAO would have to express itself through the voters. This I agree. On the other side, even if actually there have been some large scope, large funding projects that listed some milestones and that also included in their proposal a schedule for their payments, from my understanding, as soon as this prop passes, the directors are, unless another proposal comes and contradicts it, the directors have to process those payments, whatever happens to the project, basically. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah, it's absolutely contingent upon what is written in the proposal, and that goes both ways. It's absolutely contingent upon what is or isn't in the proposal is what the directors are bound by.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, even if we know the project is not delivering, you're still obliged to pay, as long as there is no proposal that counteracts the first one.
Absolutely correct. Where I think that would be stemmed is on the top end, on the top side there, before we approve that proposal, instead of a DAO approving a proposal that doesn't have any kind of contingencies or fail-safes for non-deliverables, that would be the DAO's failure by allowing that proposal to make it through, and the directors' hands would indeed be tied.
Yeah, and basically what we are proposing, the system we are proposing, the fact that there is a team checking that milestones have been correctly executed and that the project is going well. The goal is to avoid those kind of dead end. That's
So,
it.
and I'm sorry to interrupt, we're getting some good back and forth here. So we also would be able to pay or not pay based on milestones. I think the discussion here is whether or not those milestones are required in the proposal initially. We would also be able to deny or approve based on whether or not milestones were actually achieved. Maybe the more important discussion is whether or not those milestones are actually required in our proposal culture.
I think the milestones are a requirement, but it's a personal opinion. And I think here too, it's the DAO has to decide over this kind of control. But to me, and from my real life experience as a project manager, managing those kind of figures, it's nonsense that it's not there already, basically, if I can express myself.
Hey, now Hardcore is probably jumping out of his chair right now. You are correct.
Yeah. I would like to spend a little bit of time because, this is the large-scale portion of the proposal, but we also touch on something that the DTF historically with Dr. Wagme, starting 1.0, has been instrumental in helping kickstart some really cool initiatives, including the Sandbox Aavegotchi experience, which you all are just seeing now, the fruits of. And so the small scale portion of the funding pertains to any proposal less than 12K. So why did we come up with the number 12K? This is basically just assessing like what a MVP version of a game or an experience could look like at the high end. But of course, we would be open to funding other projects and smaller initiatives as well. And so the 12K number came from just looking at past projects that have been funded in the kind of MVP stage and going from there. So one example I could think of is DTF, the first version, funded the sandbox demo. It was I think it was 15,000 or 14,000 Ghost, something like that, to build out the demo, because it wouldn't have been a fair representation of what that team was trying to build if we had just written a proposal or had them come up on stage. It wouldn't have just been enough to convince the DAO that funding something so large would have been worth the time and the efforts. And so that money was committed to build out the demo. There was people got excited about it. They saw the value in it, and then that was enough to convince members, seeing the actual experience or a taste of it, to fund the whole thing. So I think we're seeing a few of those proposals come up now as well. We just talked about Mechagotchis, Stratagotchi. I feel like all those would kind of fall into this MVP category for the DAO to really kind of get the look and feel of these experiences. There's something to be said about a game that comes out with a MVP version before asking for large amounts of money for the DAO to commit. So that's kind of my perspective, but FIFO, go ahead. Oh. Sir. Can you hear me? He might be muted. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're coming through fine.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry, I it cuts, so I didn't. You were talking to me.
No, I was
had
just
the blank
I was
for 15 seconds.
yeah. I was just explaining the 12K funding for the small scale projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It was still that. So my main concern with the small fundings below 12K is you explained very well why 12K and so on. My main objective is that we get some builders from the community, some people that already have released some tools or other stuff related to the Aavegotchi that may need for just maintenance, just to maintain or to add a few features or to improve a bit. They would need like, I don't know, 1K, 2K or something like that, very small amount. And because of the rather complex and long process to get a SIG probes and get a core probe to pass just to get those amount of money, basically they decide to let go and they don't do it. And I think it's bad. I think we need to improve that. Because I get on this situation myself with a project I made related to Aavegotchi, and finally I end up not asking for anything to the DAO because I saw it as being overcomplicated. When I don't know, I had the idea to say I'm going to add these new features because this thing is going released in the ecosystem. And then you start thinking about it and say, okay, now if I want to get funded by the DAO, I need 1.5K or 2K maximum. And I will have to go to a SIG prop, then wait, then go to a core prop, and maybe it will be refused. And by that time, if I start coding now, I will have finished already. So I really want to address those cases because I'm pretty sure they exist. I'm pretty sure there are some people not asking to the DAO actually because of the structure. I think the structure of SIG prop plus core prop is good for large fundings and big proposals. But I think if you are asking something small, I think it's not well suited. And I think an independent group that is in charge to decide if something needs to be funded or not for the very small amount, I think it makes more sense than what we have actually.
Yeah, and overall, the sentiment that I've that I've read around this has been pretty good around small scale funding. It's something that I've heard from many community members wanting for their projects or small scale initiatives, and I've also spoken to some guilds in the last little bit that I think would be probably more active or would be activated in certain aspects if there was this sort of small scale funding without having to go through the whole SIG prop core prop. Let me just see some of the comments here, and then I would like to give some space on the DAO call for some of the other things we got to discuss. But I'd like to also direct your attention to the forum post. So we should keep this conversation going for about the next week or so. We don't plan on taking any action here right away immediately in terms of putting anything out there in the wild, but collecting feedback at this point and then having some sort of internal discussion before we actually post a sig prop. So looking at the comments here, elections for doing a bunch of work, not a great plan once work group gets larger. Yeah, okay, I agree. Mike Callum asking, does anyone have a comprehensive overview of all currently DAO funding recurring positions such as directors, treasurer? I'd like to see how this structure request compares to the overall. Coder Dan saying, what if DTF 2.0 managed all funding proposals, 50K ghost and DAI worth less than 50K ghost? And that's the first version of this committee, and anything larger just goes through the normal DAO channels. So it could be, expanding the scope, I guess, suggesting maybe expanding the scale for small scale funding.
Yes, I would say scope is the same. Well, scope is actually tighter than what you guys are proposing right now. I think the vision behind having this like accountability committee for funded proposals is nice, but it sounds like there's quite a bit of disagreement with whether or not it's needed at this point. And I think we don't want that to become a sticking point for getting a DTF 2.0 off the ground and started. So I personally think 10K is too low for the projects you guys should be managing. I would like to see more budget and a little bit higher, like you said, a larger scale of projects that you can fund, but you're not like an accountability layer for the DAO, because it really does add in a lot of questions as it relates to the directors. Because they aren't the DAO, and the DAO giving this accountability layer, this kind of level of control, means that the directors now need to, interface directly with the accountability, the DTF in that aspect of other projects that they're not directly managing. And I think that's just, things get a little bit messy. So maybe we should just simplify it and say the DTF 2.0 is going to manage all projects asking for budget under 30 to 50K, and anything larger is just going to go through the normal DAO channels. And if someone makes a big proposal without any milestones or deliverables, it probably will get voted down.
Yeah, I actually like that. Internally, we're actually questioning this, like would a larger scope be, would there be room for a larger scale? Sorry, on the small scale, small project side of things, and it's reassuring to hear that that they're 20 to 50K. I see Dr. Wagme's also echoing that, and I agree. Our community is some of the best and brightest, and up until now we have had some really great projects get released. And ultimately, I'm also looking this as a chance for the DTF 2.0 to prove itself as something that's really effective as part of our community. And then we can go from there. You know what I mean? Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm getting some really good feedback here. FIFO, do you have anything else here for our friends? Otherwise, we can keep the discussion going in the forum.
No, I was very happy to be able to interact with everyone on that subject. I thanks everyone for any constructive feedbacks we get. And from my point of view, as long as we have milestone and we are sure that the fundings are safe for the big projects, that's all that matters. Whether we are in charge of whoever it is or however it is managed is not really I'm good with it as long as we know what's happening.
Yeah.
And but the idea of managing up to a higher number and be in charge of those ones is a very good idea also, Coderdan. And we could also explore that way. We will talk about it between us and see what's the feedback from the community also. And that's it.
I like it,
Appreciate
guys. That sounds like some decent evolution there of the idea. The things that I'll leave with then on that, if we're looking at y'all maybe reevaluating the scope of it and targeting on small caps first, does that affect or adjust y'all's budget at all?
Oh yeah, I
That's
mean
one
it
part of it.
definitely for sure. I mean, if each project's going to be, you know, if we open up the scale of what we can fund, we'd have to rethink that as well. But
And then the second thing with it is with it not being electorally based, what kind of concept are we having for term lengths, or for the members of this committee serving, and or for a rogue member being removed and replaced?
well, I think for this first iteration, we would only be asking for like a quarters, for 1 quarter to basically manage, have compensation and funding for about 1 quarter, and then we would go from there and maybe like have a pilot
The
before we
idea,
actually,
yeah, it's what Refe just said. Basically, we know we are trying to introduce something that is really new to the DAO and something that has never been done in terms of the tasks that we will be assigned to us. So that's why we want to be able even to reevaluate ourselves after 3 months. Right now, regarding the workload we will have to manage and all that stuff, we are not in the dark, but we are trying to make the good estimation. But maybe we provision too much days per month. Maybe it's just not enough. And that's why we don't want to ask for 1 year of fundings upfront, because we think it makes no sense. I think 3 months is 1 month to set up and start, and 2 months to see how is it going. And we already had discussion internally how we could migrate from the actual model we are proposing in terms of compensation to a model where we would have less members with fixed compensation, but more people on retainers that will be able to intervene depending on the skills that are needed on project we will be funding.
I'm also seeing 6 months being mentioned in the chat there. So there's some things to discuss here internally as well as in the forum. But I'd like to leave some space on the DAO call here and pass the torch over to Coder Dan and Golden Cross. And I know you have some follow-up discussions from last week. So maybe we can dive into that.
Sure, and I know there's some others beyond us as well, right? So
Yeah.
we'll keep it pretty short, pretty tight update here. Last week, quick review, we talked about the potential for a market maker that could work directly with the DAO. Pixelcraft has contracted a loan, actually 2 separate loans with them over the last year to support liquidity on Binance and Coinbase. And that's worked out really, really well. We've had a great kind of toe in the water experience with them, and we think that as those loans come due, we either renew ourselves or we could scale larger if the DAO would be interested. And when we talked to them, they said, yeah, we've actually done a number of deals directly with DAOs and would be happy to do that. So that's the backstory. We had another call with them this week to get some of a more concrete proposal, see what they were thinking based on our, I told them, be like a doctor, look at our ghost situation and give us a proposal that would, put us on a better footing for a bull market with a lot of product being shipped in 2024. And so if I can figure out how to screen share here, I will share the PowerPoint they presented or prepared with the caveat that, I don't know if this is being recorded or not, but it's really intended for our eyes only as DAO. And I know there's like 60 people in here and whatever, but yeah, they were fine with us screen sharing it. So give me one moment here. And we'll just walk through this and then I'll take some questions and we can move it to the forum from there. So I don't think I'm on the right slide. Please give me a moment here. Okay, so the name reveal. First of all, you can check them out at skynettrading.com, though there's really nothing on the website. It's super low key. Have any of you heard of Skynet before? And if you have, feel free to shout out your, what you know about them. But basically, they are a leading market maker. Most of the market makers, ironically, that I've come to know over the years are based in Asia, and Skynet is not. And yet, Dan and I are both based here in Asia. I'm literally just down the road from GSR headquarters and all these others that we have good relationships with, but are not contracting with. So Skynet, we've had a great experience with. This is a little backstory on what they've done with us. Basically managing, they mentioned Coinbase here, but also a little bit on Binance. They do basically the majority of trading volume on Coinbase. It's the only reason Coinbase is even functional is because they manage the liquidity there. And this is an example of one of the monthly reports that we get. This is a very up-to-date one, so just kind of goes through everything from price change from the previous month, things that we'd find on CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, but it also gets into some of the more nuanced stuff like number of trades they executed, buys and sells, the fees they had to pay, their personal volume for the month, and things like that. So here you can see they're actually only active on Coinbase for the month of November. So I think that's why they're emphasizing it. That's kind of where they see the need. The loan objective is quite interesting. Basically, it's what you'd expect, right? It's to reduce slippage through tight spreads, facilitating market actors to be able to enter and exit positions of Ghost. And also, if with this particular loan, they're talking about a 600K size, whereas previously we had I believe it was 250K loans. So kind of doubling our size is what they're thinking would lead to good support on not just Coinbase, but OKX and Huobi as well. And let me just drop in the chat here real quick. Multitasking. So if we look at, here I took a screenshot to share with you guys. If we look at a live shot of CoinMarketCap, and I highlighted the ones they want to support, this is what it looks like right now in the depth charts. And so basically what this means is like negative 2% depth. That's how much you'd have to sell to move the price on that exchange to 2% slippage. And actually they're looking really healthy today. When we were on the call a few days ago, OKX was at like 2,000 instead of 6,600. Huobi looked about like it does now, and Coinbase was looking a little rougher than what it does right there. And I don't remember Binance, but basically there's room for improvement, especially on Huobi and OKX, which have very large user bases and could really, liquidity is the lifeblood of the markets, as Tommy says. If we're listed there, but there's no liquidity, then it's kind of inaccessible to any market players. So that's what we're trying to solve here, and that's the whole purpose of a good, honest market maker. So let me go back to the right window. They also mention amplifying volumes by arbitrage, and so they're supported. I can skip ahead here on over 50 centralized exchanges, so they're pretty much active on every exchange you can think of. And some, like Coinbase, they mentioned, do not have arbitrage opportunities because of the fees. But many of the others, a lot of these market makers get pretty competitive fee reductions, and they're able to arbitrage and basically move funds where they need to be at any given time. And that also, the secondary effect of that is it's very good for volume. So it's kind of interesting just what all we can do here with them. I'm going to try to go a little faster. We got some testimonials. If you guys are familiar with Scale Network, they courted us back in the day for gaming chains before we went with Polygon. I've actually met Jack here in Singapore. They're great. Huobi, they got the listing manager there, and someone from Sweat Economy. So it's cool to be aware. Testimonials, people that they've worked with And then we get into the particular loan that they're proposing here. We're talking about a 600K ghost loan that they would use mostly across the 4 exchanges I mentioned. And this is really interesting. This is very transparent to them. They're not going to say the exact strike prices, but the way it works is a year from now, if we did a 12-month contract, when that contract expires, they either have to pay back the 600,000 ghost to the DAO, or they can opt for the strike price and just pay in USDT. So, you know, here you see that they would break it up into 3 different tranches. So 200K would be the basically average price, rolling price of 7 days from the start of the contract. Another 200K would be spot price, just straight up. If it's $1 when the deal's done, then they could pay back at a dollar USDT for those 200K. And then the third tranche would actually be at a premium, 10%. So, you know, that incentivizes them, not that they have any sway in the matter, and that's not what they do, but obviously they are bullish on the projects they work with because they take on risk. And if Ghost goes to, like, you know, crashes to nothing, then they don't have a lot of good choices because they have to do spot plus 10%. They have to pay that premium. So additionally, there's no retainer fee, no setup fee, no trading fees, and then yeah, that's really it. It's really that straightforward. Now I'm going to go back to the Discord and see if there's any questions.
So it looks pretty straightforward, simple, and easy here. What is like the negative to the DAO? What's the risk? What's the why we don't do this?
Well, there really isn't. I mean, there's, I guess, a risk of, you know, them going under in like a black swan event and not being able to repay anybody, or them getting hacked. It's like everything, they just disappear overnight. But that's not going to happen with Skynet, and I put them in that same category as GSR and some of the bigger names that very, very by the book. I know Dan can say not only have we had a good experience, but when Dan met with some people from some of the other companies that they've worked with, companies like like Biconomy is listed in this PowerPoint. They spoke very highly of Skynet, right?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were listed or not.
Yeah.
That's good. I have spoken with the team by. Let's make sure they're listed first. But
see if I can find.
But yeah, they've done great work. Okay, they are. So yeah, they've been really good with the Biconomy team. Definitely nothing but praise from them. I actually was, when I was chatting with Biconomy in Dubai, they were mentioning how great Skynet was. So I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we should talk about like doubling down with them, because they've been quite a good and reliable liquidity partner throughout all of 2023. So I would say when we talk about downsides, the only downside I would say, and this is true of any market maker or liquidity provider that you're going to work with, is that you have this idea of a strike price. And let's just say if the DAO made a decision to work with them today, where Ghost is $1, and let's just say the strike price, one of the tranches was $1.15, and the DAO and Ghost goes to $5, sometime next year, they will basically exercise that strike price at whatever the spot. Part of the tranches, the one that we're signing today, would be at today's price. So
yeah,
whatever
so
it
there's
is,
a future dump, a small dump.
There's a few. Well, it's not really a.
They're just executing. Yeah.
It's an OTC deal, basically. It's not. They're not like dumping the Ghost on the open market. They're just doing an OTC deal. Basically.
Well, that potential $5 price that you're mentioning may be a result of the liquidity depth that they'd be providing us. So
it's a chicken
exactly
egg,
like
right?
It's kind of you can't really be taken seriously if you have thin books by major players. So to get to that level that obviously everyone in the community would like to get to, we do need deeper books.
Y'all talked about those thin books as a problem for a long time. So yeah, this is well, let's do it.
Yeah, I know time's tight, so I'm gonna share one last thing here. The let's do it part is we're thinking about this. Could be another way you guys could come up with, but the execution could look like two different ways that I can think of. One, the way where you guys totally handle it, truly decentralized all the way. I mean, both ways technically are, but a DAO task force would probably be formed. A foundation director would need to sign. They were very keen on that part. They said, "Do you guys have an entity?" As a matter of fact, the DAO does have an entity. Would need at least one director to be a signatory to the contract. The task force could send the funds, and the task force could manage that relationship directly with Skynet. They wouldn't be comfortable like just coming on a DAO call like this and talking about a monthly update with them. I mean, they could, but it'd be very limited what they could say. But if there was a task force that was behind some sort of, not an NDA, but some sort of privacy where you had a trusted representative from the DAO or a task force working with them, then that they can be a little more sensitive about, that contract is going to have the strike price, things like that. And that opens them up to counter trading and rumors and all sorts of things that self-fulfilling prophecies, things that really don't matter, except that they can become like bigger than what they really are. So that's why they tend to have some sense of privacy around the final terms of the deal, the exact nature of it. Although to be said, I was surprised how much and how transparent they were in this proposal.
Yeah.
You can read here, the second one would just be, you guys fund it, but then assign Pixelcraft to continue to manage the relationship that we're already doing. It's not very complex. We basically have a Telegram with them, and if something changes or they want updates on the project or just want to give us that monthly report, they drop it in the Telegram, and that's about it. If we need to call them, they drop a Calendly, and we pick up the phone and talk. They're based in Europe. They're very, very easy to communicate with and hop on a call with anytime needed. So that could be us. That could be a task force you guys choose. That's the two most easy flows I can come up with. So with that, we'll move it to the forum. And yeah, hope that is helpful. Now I'll hand it back to Hefe so we can keep things moving along.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. And it's actually a good segue because another hot conversation topic that we've had this week regarding the DAO Treasury is, it's been going on for a couple weeks, and shout out to Oliver Spoon for kicking that one off. This is almost a continuation of our emergency bonding curve plan / later moving away from the curve. Was this idea of the assets that we should be holding, could be holding in our treasury. And right now, I believe most of our treasury is denominated in DAI and some Ghost that the DAO owns. But early discussions around the emergency bonding curve plan were around the underlying assets that underpin the DAI token. Let me just share my screen here. And so I wanted to bring this conversation up because it is somewhat time sensitive, and if the DAO decides we want to buy a certain amount of our treasury, keep it in ETH, then we would take a couple weeks at least from the time that we take actionable steps to when we can actually do this. And so we don't want to be stuck in disbelief on the sidelines. I'm sure there's going to be opportunities in the market on a local scale to purchase ETH, but we don't want to be stuck on this conversation for months as the market starts to benefit from potentially maybe the beginnings of a bull market. So I just wanted to share this. Actually, this is forming and funding the Curve Transition Team, which was it was a task force that was put together. I don't know if there's been any follow-up on this. I don't know, maybe Dr. Wagme, you could chime in on this if there was some sort of internal discussion around, not only the LP side of things, but also some other assets that we might want to diversify. And I know you even had some good ideas regarding staking and producing income and whatnot. But I think the first step the DAO could probably take is first understanding what is kind of underpinning the DAI token, and acknowledging, yes, there are some risks to holding DAI in our treasury, only DAI in our treasury. There's currently nothing hedging against if DAI was to depeg, which actually happened. Ironically, it happened around the time that those early discussions around the bonding curve emergency plan were taking place. And the DAO is unfortunately not nimble enough to navigate something like that when, DAI could literally depeg overnight and take who knows how long to recover, if in the worst case scenario, not recover at all. And there's been some recent, or in the last year, proposals that have passed within MakerDAI that have enabled them to use real-world assets to collateralize their token. So you can all see on DAIstats.com, they have a dashboard for this, and you can see what kind of collateral is actually underpinning the DAI token. And in fact, they do use a fairly large amount of ETH to back the DAI token. But since this proposal passed, I think a significant amount has also gone to real world assets. You see tranche A here is 21%, and tranche B is also another 21. So 42% of their backing is real world assets. Actually, I see another tranche here, which I'm not really sure if that one is part of it. But 40 to 50% of the DAI tokens backed by real world assets. So I don't think this is a risk we should ignore, because if it's something that causes DAI to depeg, then we would simply just not be in a position to respond to that in a meaningful way. So one of the suggestions I thought in my mind would be maybe having some sort of other token, blue chip token that the DAO decides to purchase now at a specific price, or within a price range, where we buy a certain amount of ETH, or we buy some wrapped BTC, and we hold that in a treasury as a hedge against anything that could potentially happen in those black swan type events. I personally don't look at this as some sort of an investment for the DAO, but of course that would be a benefit to the DAO, of course, over time on a macro scale of things, that we would probably realize some sort of financial gain from doing this. But at the same time, that ETH, for example, if we purchased ETH, could also be put to work in through things like through Rocket Pool, for example, running staking through them and running ETH nodes through their platform, and producing some income there as well. I'm just seeing the comment from Dr. Wagme here. CTT's main effort was to design and employ buyback strategy LP positions immediately. Okay, we had no consensus on purchasing ETH BTC Matic. My personal recommendation is to buy 2 million ETH over 4 tranches, and then stake with Lido and generate 4% APY 80K a year. Second proposal. Yeah. So this could be a two-part discussion here. I don't know how much there really is to discuss in terms of the risks associated with purchasing ETH, especially when ETH and real-world assets are backing the very tokens that we're holding now. It almost seems like it maybe could even be less of a risk, since you would hold the ETH instead of also having real-world asset component there. But a secondary discussion could be how income could be generated off this amount. I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Let's see. Skynet stuff. Top 19 Gotchis. Someone's saying Chainlink. I mean, that could be part of the conversation. I'm just including like the two biggest market caps here for the conversation, because it seems like that's like we'll probably would get the most like unanimous decision from like everyone's understanding of what BTC and ETH is. But other assets could be looked at over time if we decide we want to buy some Matic or Chainlink or whatever. But yeah, maybe just having that initial discussion around how much ETH will we want to own as the DAO treasury, or how much wrap BTC. Let's see, Maxi Crouton. Yeah, if you got any feedback on this, I think it's you know, it would be helpful, and maybe it's time that we do take some sort of an actionable step in terms of maybe putting a proposal out there, even as a temperature check, for a specific amount of ETH. I like the 2 million idea. I know 3 million's also been suggested, but it would be a prime opportunity right now, I think, where the market's at. You know, things could always go back down, and that's a risk of purchasing Ethereum. But on the macro scale, we're on the right side here, purchasing when it's when there's a significant depreciation in price, rather than trying to purchase with FOMO or anything like that. Maxi Crouton diversifies in ETH. Matic BCC is smart in my opinion, while keeping some stables. We could also do more buybacks in the future. Some people are saying buy more Ghost, but also I think it's important to acknowledge, I think our treasury has a large amount of Ghost already. We could buy more Ghost, but I think, like Dr. Wagme was saying, there was a whole buyback program that was in place for that. We were talking about this years back. Let's make it work. Last week when Coder said Dan, last week when Coder Dan said we should get those blue chips. Yeah, that's a good point, Brahmin. Treasurer gather the DeFi big brains and let's formulate an actionable plan. Yeah, I think the first version of the proposal could just look like, hey, this is the amount that we want to commit to other assets. These are the assets that we would like to have in our treasury. I'm thinking it probably wouldn't extend much more than BTC and ETH, because it would not only be that security hedge for the DAI, any sort of inherent DAI risks or black swan events, but it could also be possibly income producing. And then also you have the DAO treasury exposed to some upside as the market starts to pick up. So there's kind of three ways to look at that, in my opinion. Would it be hard to get some numbers on how the DAO's Ghost purchasing has performed? I imagine that we're in the positive. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, to get those numbers. Oliver Spoon saying, always on board for holding BTC. Likewise. DCA over 3 months. That's a question to ask. I mean, I'm not opposed personally to like buying in tranches as opposed to a one-time buy, and just to give that opportunity to potentially have a lower average price, but also acknowledge it could be a higher average price, right? Depending on how the market moves. On the macro scale, it doesn't matter. I mean, honestly, the people looking back at when BTC was 5,000 don't regret buying it when it was 7,000. I'm sure they're all happy. So, Phantasma. I'm concerned about DAO treasury burn rate and long-term sustainability. Nice to see discussion regarding capital generation and preservation, where we usually just talk about how to spend. Absolutely, and I think this is a big part of this initiative, would be to kind of maybe dip our toes into a little bit of staking. I've been researching, since Dr. Wagme's comment, I've been researching a little bit about ETH staking. I think I would like to know more personally, but that's the second part of this discussion. I think the first part should just be how much should we purchase? What are we purchasing? Keep it simple, and then once we have something tangible in our possession as a DAO, we can discuss about, okay, well, these are our options. This is what we can do with it. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I'd like to know what you guys think. Saying by Aave, Oliver Spoon, we have enough Ghost. Yeah. Coder Dan, if I had to choose a non-Ghost asset, I'd likely be ETH. Grossly undervalued compared to BTC at the moment. I agree with that. Sentiment there. Maxi Crouton, I'll do the calculation, publish it in the next report, but I think we mostly bought during the above $1 phase. Let's see. I believe we're significantly exposed to Matic by being a Polygon project already. Yeah, anything beyond ETH and BTC, I think would be considered altcoins, and probably would be a completely different discussion because all those coins have a different risk profile than ETH and BTC do, in my opinion. You know, a Ghost included, all different risk profile than ETH or BTC. Also remember, there's there's a wave of institutional adoption that'll be coming behind. Seems like ETH and BTC, so we could maybe indirectly benefit from that as well. Just directing everyone's attention to the forum, maybe we could discuss this week a timeline of how we would want to do this in terms of writing the proposal. Maybe next week we bring the proposal to the table, we can discuss it on the call, and then shortly after get something published for a purchase. I think that would be probably the best actionable step we could take, while still respecting the whole timeline of things. Sir Linkius, I get your sentiment, bro. Link Marine here as well, but yeah, we should that's probably part of a larger discussion for sure after the initial purchase. You could always convert assets as well too, right? As profits, as gains are realized. That's always a possibility too. Dr. Wagme, sir, if you want to lead this, go ahead. I mean, you've wrote these sorts of proposals before. I feel like you have the experience to put something like this together. You have a general idea of kind of what the sentiment looks like. And so, yeah, I don't think there'd be, from my end anyway, I don't think there'd be any objections to that. I think, how much to purchase it sounds like ETH. People are leaning towards ETH just in this call in terms of sentiment. And then we can always go from there for activating the assets to produce revenues and whatnot. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Jump in the forum and definitely comment on those things. I also saw a forum post pop up this morning that you guys can give some attention to. It's where was it? Upgrading the ATF. So I see that's been posted up there. Upgrading the ATF. That's a new forum post. You can definitely check that one out. And then we have the DTF 2.0 discussion. Please chime in. Thank you for today. I thought it was a really productive discussion, and the team internally will definitely discuss a lot of the things that were discussed here, and we'll be back here for next week. So I got nothing else,
Great.
friends. Coder Dan.
Good stuff.
Great call. That was a great down call, guys. A lot of good stuff covered.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else up here? Micallum, Oliver Spoon, you guys got anything before we wrap up here for today?
It's this culture of continuous improvement in this organization that keeps me coming back.
Yes, Future's been posting in the chat and a deal. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on here, friends, and yeah, I'm pumped. I'm grateful to be here. I'm pumped to be here, and yeah, we're gonna make it.
Guys, if you haven't already, go get Lickies. Hopefully, TestFlight is working, and just show it to people. See what they think. We really honestly, I think this is going to be one of the easiest ways to get your friends or even like nephews, nieces, and stuff interested in Aavegotchi. It's really, really neat to watch people play it. So hopefully you can get it on TestFlight and ship it around with some friends.
Yeah, really good call, guys. Just one last closing bit. I just launched a little giveaway here to share your content with the hashtag dropped. We're giving away the coveted red Santa hat on Thursday. So I'll be choosing someone randomly on Thursday. So share the content. Let's see if we can get trending on Twitter and bring over some more players into the game.
Awesome.
Yeah, guys, if you're at Art Basel, stop by the Gates Hotel. We're here setting up. We're about to, just get the whole thing going. And have a great day, friends.
Awesome, friends. Later.
Peace.